Doesn't get much worse than that. Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. In this video, I'm going to show you how to fix your welded on door hinges. When they first started building the 3rd Gen Nova, the hinges for the doors were bolted on. Well, around mid-1970, they switched from bolt-on hinges to weld-on hinges. Like this. So instead of bolts holding this to the body and to the door, it's welded to the body, welded to the door, and you've got a pin that holds them together. And on most of these cars, unless they've already been fixed, the doors move up and down a pretty good bit. Most of the time it just needs new bushings in it, and most parts stores sell a bushing kit like this. You can replace the bushings in the door and it'll be fine. But if the damage is more than a bushing can repair, I'll show you how to fix that also. Now before we start messing with the hinges down here, we got to get this end of the door right. Most of the time, one of the reasons that the bushings are messed up is because this striker is all beat up and worn out, and it doesn't hold the door in the correct space when the latch hits it. And this one has a big dent in the quarter panel, so I've got an extra big space right here, but we're not worried about that right now. We're worried about it lining up at top. And it doesn't close very good because it's pretty low. So what we're going to do is fix the striker first, get the door able to shut pretty good, and as soon as we get that done, we can worry about the hinges. Now some of these strikers will have an Allen head in them, some will have a Torx bit. This one's got the Torx. So we're going to get this in here and see if it'll come loose, and it did. And now we can replace it with a brand new one. Alright, so the plate that this thing bolts to moves around a little bit, which gives you a little bit of adjustment. Our new striker bolt is solid instead of having a sleeve on it, and it also has an Allen head in it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use our kind of mark where the paint used to be. We're going to use that as our guide. That'll be a good starting point. Should get us fairly close to where the striker needs to be for the door to shut correctly. Get it started with by hand. Get it kind of close. That's too much. Right around there. Alright, now we're going to check the door. Alright, let's see how this closes. Not bad. It's straight right there. Pretty good. And it's tight. Now one thing you want to pay attention to. I've obviously got my height right because it's good right here. But my door is in some. Now yes, my quarter panel is dented, but the door is in some up here also. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen the striker up, keep the top and bottom adjustment on it, and move it out this way just a little bit so my door will be closer to flush. Now I'll have to adjust that again once I get this dent pulled out, because when I get this dent pushed out, this quarter panel is going to come back this way just a little bit. And you can see it's got a pretty good gap, and it's actually a little bit proud just because of the dent, but not all of it is the dent. Some of it's the striker adjustment. All right, let's try it now. Well, it didn't close all the way. There we go. Our height is still good, and our door is nowhere near as far in as it was. So we're pretty good there. And I tightened it a bunch, but I'm going to go ahead and tighten it a little bit more just to be sure that it doesn't move around. Alright, we got the easy part out of the way, and that was the striker adjustment. Now we get to play with the door pins. Now this part just stinks. There's just no two ways about it. Now if you've got the fender on, this is going to be way harder than it is for me with the fender off, but I'm trying to film this, and there's almost no way I'd be able to film it with the fender on, you know, with the door in the way. But you've got a pin here on this side, on the top, that's got to come out. And the hard one is the one on bottom because the fender curves under the pin, so getting anything in there to hit it is very difficult. And they do make a hinge pin remover tool. It's like a little ball joint C-clamp that's made to fit inside the door and do that. Some of them, and there's a multiple different styles of them. Some of them will fit these doors, some of them won't. I used to have one a long time ago, but I had a rusted pin that really wouldn't come loose and I broke it, so I haven't bought a new one, and I haven't seen one for sale in a long time either, but they're out there. There's a lot of ways to do this. I get a big hammer and I try to make sure the top one's going to come out, but I don't take it out first. I go ahead and tap on it, make sure it'll move, and then I worry about the bottom one because I want to have the top one in holding the door up while I get the bottom one out. Sometimes you can do this easier with the door shut. Take the pins out, it's holding the door up on the hinges, and then take the top one out, the easy one last, and then sometimes you have to have the door open and get to it from the other side. Really. Don't think it's moving. Let's see if the top one will move. Oh yeah, top one moved easy. The bottom one not so much. So I'm gonna try another technique. And you got about a 1/2 inch. I don't know if you can see it. You got about a 1/2 inch of the pin hanging down. All right, so I don't know if you can see this or not. I've got a small, like 8mm socket on a extension. I'm gonna put that on the pin, and I don't want to put any burrs on the pin because if I do, when it slides up through the hinge, it'll get caught and it'll be a nightmare to get out. But I'm gonna put this on there and try to hit it from the bottom because I really can't get the hammer in like I want to. See if I can do this where y'all can see it, but I might not be able to. Well, the pin moved a little bit, but now the socket's stuck. And hopefully I didn't gouge up the bottom of the pin. Maybe not. All right, now I'm gonna try to get a punch on there and push it the rest of the way through. All right, so I got the pin to come up just a little bit. You can see where it's come up just a little bit. See if I can get the light in there. And what I'm gonna try to do now is, the top of that pin is knurled, so that's what locks it into the top part of the hinge. The bottom part is just pointed, and I probably put a couple of little gouges on the bottom, so I'm hoping that doesn't come back to haunt me. But now what I'm going to try to do is get a big pry bar that's thin enough to get under this lip and see if I can pry up on it and get the pin to move a little bit more. All right, it's starting to move. I got my little pry bar in here, and if I hit it while I'm pulling down on it, it's moving up a little bit, but it's pretty tight, and it's probably because I boogered up the bottom of the pin. All right, you can see that I've got it most of the way up, so it'll come on out now. Now we worry about getting the top one out, which will come out pretty easy. All right, I finally got it out. So now it's the top one. See, this come a little easier. So far, so good. All right, we've got both pins out, and like I said, that's way easier leaving it latched here than it is trying to mess with it. And if you got two people, it's not so bad. But what I'm gonna do now is grab the door, set it out of the way. All right, so you can see the car side of the hinge is not too bad. We're gonna check out the door next. Now you can see the door side is where the bushings are. There and there. There's not one here. There is one here. And the good thing is, actually, there is one here. It's walled out pretty good. You can see the back of it. Oh yeah, I can see it now. Okay. Anyway, so it looks like the hinges themselves are okay. We just need new bushings, and I'm gonna knock these bushings out, and then we'll see if the hinges themselves are wallered out. And if the hinges are damaged, then we're gonna have to weld them up, but I can show you how to do that. All right, so these bushing kits come in multiple sizes, and a lot of times you have to buy 2 kits to get all the bushings you need, so I did. But on this one kit, we've got my pin cleaned up with a wire brush, and we're gonna find the ones that fit the pin. That's one of them. But now my holes in my door are different sizes. So we got this one, we got one of these lighter color ones, that also fits the pin. That's good. It's a smaller hole. One hole is bigger and knurled, and that's this bushing. The other 3 holes are going to be this size bushing. All right, so this hole is the bigger of the 4. So we're going to take this bushing right here, put it in there, and hammer it in. All right, so I've got my new bushings in, both of the hinges. I've got the hinges on the car cleaned up. I've got my pins cleaned up. Now we're going to hang this door back and see if we can get everything back together. All right, let's see how it turned out. Now it's still lined up here. It opens easy. Pretty tight. Shuts good, I didn't have to slam it. Let's see how easy it shuts. There we go, pretty good. Now there is still a tiny bit of movement in here that I can feel. And that is probably because I reused these pins because the part store didn't have any pins in. And if you put new pins in, it'll be even tighter. Just make sure that the new pins you get, you can actually find the bushings that match them, or you get the bushings with them, because the pins need to fit the bushings just as much as the bushings need to fit the door hinge. Now we're going to see if we can get this passenger door loose, because it is quite a bit worse than the driver's side. All right, I don't know if you can see this or not, but I can see some slop around the pin right here, and it looks like just the bushing is gone, but I'm not sure if it's the bushing or if the door is wallered out, and the same thing on bottom. I'm hoping it's just the bushing gone, because the hinges on the car are a lot easier to weld up and drill than the hinges on the doors themselves. All right, I finally got the pins out over here. They were just as bad as the other side. So now we're going to take the door off. Stand it up. And we're going to look at it, see how bad it is. Now, the holes on the car, they look okay. They don't look bad at all. The door, however, that one looks all right. That one looks okay. That one looks like a grenade. Went through it. That one doesn't look any better. I'm going to see if bushings will fit in this. Alright, so this is going to be kind of hard to see because I'm going to have to hold the camera with one hand. Now, this size bushing with the knurl on it goes in this side and fits snug, so that's good. Alright, that's okay. However, this side is supposed to have a bushing same size as this one, which is very snug in this hole. But anyway, this bushing flops around in this hole, so it is definitely, you can see it's pretty out of round. What I need to do is make it fit this bushing so I can go bigger, but I need to use this hole to line that one up. Now, because of all this, I don't have enough room to get a drill in there. Even a right angle drill won't work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bit fits in this hole, but it won't fit through the other hole. So I'm pretty sure that if I can get this bit through this side, then it's going to be big enough to get this bushing in with a very tight fit. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to grab this and try to keep this as level as we can and hope it starts grabbing. There it goes. Now if that hole was very tight, very small, this probably wouldn't work. But the hole was wallered out just enough to where maybe I rounded it up enough to be able to get that bushing in there. And I hope the camera can pick up what I'm doing there. Alright, I did get it started. So So now I'm going to try to use the ball peen of this small hammer. There we go. Now that hole's fixed. So now we have this one left. We got a bushing in here, that's good. We don't have another one for here. These kits come with 2 of these size bushing in each kit, and I needed 3 in the other door, so I used one out of the second kit. Now I just have this one left. And then I was able to use another large bushing here after I drilled that out, and a large bushing there. So unless I drill this out and put a large bushing in it, which I don't have another one, so I'm not going to do that. So what I'm going to do is just pick up another kit tomorrow, which I have to do anyway because the pins are trashed. You can see where the pins are worn down pretty good, top and bottom on both pins. This one's really bad. You can see the top and the bottom is worn down in there. So the pins on this side are no good. That's why this door had so much movement in it. But the good news is I didn't have to weld any of these up. But I am going to show you what to do if the hole is so bad that you have to weld it up. Alright, so if these are wallered out, and that has happened, I had to fix it on my 73. Typically, because of the way the door sags, the pin is going to be in there trying to move this way. So if it's the top hinge or the bottom hinge, the bottom of this, or the front side of this hole will be messed up, and the back side of this hole will be messed up. So what you need to do to fix it is get you a couple of washers, and usually, depending on what size pin you've got, most of these are the same. A 3/8 washer is too big because the hole is bigger than the pin itself. 5/16 washer is too small. Now maybe there's a metric washer that's just right, but get a 5/16 washer and drill it out with a drill bit that's the same size as your pin. And then what you can do is, once you have a couple of washers done like that, and maybe stack them to give you more rigidity, you take and you weld up the bad side of the hole. Get it real clean and everything. Leave the good side of the hole open. You weld up the bad side of the hole on the back, and then you grind down the top flat and make sure that the center of your hole that has weld on it is flat. And then you take your washer, set it over the hole, tack your washer around the hole. You can do this on this side down here at the bottom too. And then what you do is you drill back through, and you have new metal now on the back, but you use your washer and the good part of the hole as your guide to keep your hole in line. And then when you drill down, you want to make sure that you've got the other one there. And if you do it good enough, if you're careful enough, it'll almost be like it never had any kind of issues, because your welding wire and everything will close at the back. I have tried it with JB Weld, and it worked temporarily, but welding is much better. Now, I'm glad these weren't wallered out, but at the same time, I didn't get to show you how to weld it, but that's okay. I explained it good enough, I think. And now I've just got to get new pins for this side, get an extra bushing for the door right there, and I'm going to get new pins for the driver's side as well. And also, when I was over on the driver's side, I said that the striker would wear the hinges out, and it's actually the other way around. When the hinges are wrong, it starts beating the striker up because it's hitting it wrong. So, yeah, reverse that. Alright, so I hope that helps somebody. Now, in mid-70 is when they went to the welded on hinge, so mid-70 and earlier were the bolt-on hinge. Now, me personally, I like the weld-on hinges. I know a lot of people like the bolt-on hinges because it gives you some adjustment. I've got no argument with that. It does give you adjustment. But a lot of times, a lot of people are trying to adjust the hinges when the real problem is the hinge pins inside the hinges are wore out, and they're adjusting it as a band-aid, or the striker or something like that is all misaligned. And one thing you want to do is, if you are replacing a quarter panel on one of these cars, you really need to make sure all of this is lined up. Your striker and everything is right first. Your hinge pins and all that stuff are correct. Everything's in good working order, because once you get the quarter panel off, you have no idea where that door is, where the quarter panel is supposed to be in relation to the door. And your striker and all that stuff goes away. So you want to make real sure your door is in the right spot before you cut the old quarter panel off. Alright guys, thanks for checking out the video. We're going to be doing another project with this 72 right here. We'll see you guys soon.